So I want to talk about the theory of everything, um, the large scale relativity stuff, the small scale quantum physics stuff. Um, so I thought of some things to try to solve the issue. One of the issues is locality. Okay, locality doesn't make any sense. Okay, saying that things take time to interact, it doesn't make sense because they're saying that there are quantum field, there is a medium. Okay, they're saying that there is a consistent medium and that there is no empty space anywhere. Okay, that everything is permeated by quantum fields. So at a locality depends on there being empty space, but there isn't. So obviously locality wouldn't make sense. Things would happen instantaneously. It would explain the entanglement stuff, quantum entanglement. So locality doesn't make sense. If you have a uniform, like consistent medium, you know what I mean? Things are going to happen instantaneously across distances as this medium is, altered with a force or, whatever, like if there's any kind of force involved. So, and it's an infinite distance. It's an instantaneous interaction across an infinite distance because the medium is, there's no empty space within it. Okay, everything is moving all at once. So that's just logic. So locality doesn't make any sense if there's, if they're saying quantum fields are the case. So that could help with the theory of everything there. Adjusting this locality concept. So as far as things within the medium, maybe they could take time to do their specific interactions with other things within the medium. But as far as the interactions that are like, with the medium itself, how the medium itself is interacting with things and stuff like that, or like how these things are interacting with the medium and then how it interacts with the other stuff through the medium and stuff, that stuff would be instantaneous. So like you got one thing in the medium, it might take time to travel through the medium and touch the other thing or have some kind of, or some kind of interaction with the other thing. But like, you see what I'm saying? Interactions, like instantaneous interactions, are explainable by the quantum field theory. Okay, there's a medium that doesn't have empty space. Obviously, things are going to interact instantaneously. So there's that, and then there's this stuff about, so randomness doesn't make any sense. Okay, nothing should ever be random. There's only consciousness or there's deterministic stuff, unconscious stuff. There's conscious stuff and unconscious stuff. Unconscious stuff abides by deterministic physical laws. Conscious things make decisions. Randomness doesn't make any sense. So if you just use consciousness as a variable, okay, in your so we can't deny consciousness. It defeats the whole meaning of life. If we're not conscious, if we're not responsible, there's no purpose to this. And obviously, just logically speaking, there's a purpose. Like it just doesn't make sense for there not to be a purpose. So, like it doesn't make sense for existence to exist without a purpose, stuff like that. Like the consciousness, okay, we make decisions. It would be a variable. It's not a random variable because we're making decisions, but it's also not predictable because we're making decisions. So there would be the variable of consciousness. Unconscious stuff would abide by deterministic processes, rules, and stuff. If we run into a variable, it might be a form of consciousness. So like if we run into something and we're like, okay, there's a variable here, it's not predictable. Well, it's not random. Okay, so like, I'm just saying the random stuff doesn't make any sense at all. So, it may have been a form of consciousness encountered. Okay, whether it's like a large scale cosmic form of consciousness or something, or like some other thing that we, may not have, like, you know what I mean? We don't really know how to explain these things. So if we encounter some variable, it may be a form of consciousness. But as far as the deterministic stuff, that applies to unconscious stuff. And so fitting that into the equation, what do the variables mean? Like the unpredictable, like variables and stuff, what do those mean? Well, it would be consciousness. And then applying the deterministic stuff to the other things, working that out for the theory of everything equation and stuff, and the stuff like that. So the locality principle, obviously wrong. And then as far as addressing this randomness Copenhagen stuff, okay, we are not random. Okay, so it doesn't apply to consciousness, so things obviously aren't entirely random. And then if somebody tries to say things are deterministic, like Einstein or something, he was trying to say things are deterministic. Well, we aren't deterministic, we make decisions, so that doesn't apply. So like it would be what I was saying. And then if you try to say that unconscious things abide by randomness, okay, that just doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. So it would be unconscious stuff abides by, and I can go into that explanation and stuff like that. I don't okay, but unconscious stuff abides by deterministic stuff, and conscious stuff would be, making decisions in a variable. So people could work that in and see what it does, see if it fixes the issue.